What is up, everybody? Chris and Sis coming at you from the rooftops.
Yeah, we're back, guys.
Want a disclaimer?
These are the inner workings of our minds. We are not professionals. We are just sharing our journeys. I'm sorry if I sound monotone and
You sound spectacular. If
I
monotone is spectacular, you sound spectacular.
the tired, as it is right after my work day, literally.
It'd be a tired grind. Yeah, we're doing a little bit later of one tonight with a pretty decent view. I wish it was viewable on camera, but that's pretty chill.
Yeah.
So tonight we wanted to rant just a little bit, probably a shorter one, on self-awareness and what it actually means to be self-aware, because we've had a lot of conversations with people lately about those kinds of things. I have, at least, and it seems to be a topic that we cover a whole lot.
Yeah.
And it's just like the basis of anything and everything in regards to self-work. So, mindfulness. What is mindfulness? What is self-awareness?
Mindfulness is being mindful of your actions, what you speak, what you put out into the world, also of yourself.
Yes.
And of the surrounding space around you.
It's how it affects you, and also how the things that you say and the things that you do affect other people as well. Mm-hmm. Because all of that is important in interacting with somebody.
And then self-awareness is being self-aware. It's some of us have that little voice inside of our heads and some of us don't, but it's that little voice inside of our heads. It's like, oh, well, maybe that was kind of messed up for me to say.
Yep.
Or like, wow, I should really think about, that whole situation. Like, I should reflect on that. So self-awareness has so many different components to it. A big part of it is reflecting.
Constant reflection.
It's like, that's how I feel the learning in your everyday life goes. It's like you are inside of these situations, and then like afterwards, reflecting back on it, you can learn from it, but also to change like thinking patterns. Self-awareness is being self-aware in that moment and like being cognitive of where you're at in this moment and changing something.
So on that, you learn things the exact same way that you unlearn things. If you've never been able to unlearn anything, if you have, I wish I didn't think this way all the time, but I don't know how to stop. That is exactly what the process that you need to take. It's the exact same thing as learning something. You just do it backwards, or you relearn a more positive way, and that's where we're talking about thought patterns and just consistently reminding yourself, I am this is what's good for me, and that's
I've often heard too, I don't know if I've spoken it in a video before, but like your initial reaction is something, maybe you're not so happy about it, but like that afterthought is who you actually are. So that first thought that you're not so happy about is the way you were conditioned or like the way you were raised. And then your second thought is like, that's who you actually are and who you're trying to become.
And I like that one a lot too.
Like, it makes me feel better when initially I'm just like, look, I grew up in early 2000s where like pretty popular girls and all this kind of stuff. I wasn't one of them. Like, I was one of those like emo kids or whatever. And so like back in the day, it was like, oh, the preps are bad.
Yeah.
Like, we grew up in those days.
I
we were
still
the
catch
punky
myself
kids.
doing that too.
Yeah.
Like if I see somebody that's kind of jockey, I'm like, that guy's probably mean,
Yeah,
like mean is not the word I want to use either.
No.
But then I have to remind myself, like, dude, people are just people, especially as an adult. People are just people. So I conditioned myself to just think that people were inherently bad and I should avoid them because they were going to be mean to me or make fun of me.
Well, it's kind of like a generational conditioning.
Have
you watched like the music video for Paramore, Misery Business?
It's been a minute.
Like, that's a good example. Like, I can see all these music videos where it's like, the preppy kids. But like,
right.
That's not how it is. They're people too. And I don't know.
It's good. Everyone is people.
We're all people.
Oh man, I started to have a tangent for a minute there. Okay, on that self-awareness topic, where I was going with this, you made the point that your first thought is how you've been conditioned to think.
Yeah.
Your second thought is how you actually feel.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff is really important to follow, because as somebody that experienced trauma growing up, that I'm still learning how to deal with and unlearning and learning my way through now, I notice myself all the time, my first emotional reaction to certain situations, certain stimuli, will be very erratic in a way, you know, like fight or flight kicks in right away. I'm like,
Yes.
nope, gotta dip, this ain't cool. But I allow my rational mind to take hold in these situations, and that's the way I'm able to
Yep.
recondition myself. So my emotions are telling me nope, but my brain knows that that is an irrational thought.
And it
So-
also goes with trusting yourself,
Absolutely.
which a lot of
and
us who've
trusting other people.
experienced trauma or grew up with not so great caregivers a lot of the time, we never learned like how to develop our own inner voice.
Word.
So like that's what Chris and I have really been on a journey of doing too, is
100%.
I call it finding my own internal compass. So like I'm at a point now where like I can do that. I can have those rational thoughts about things. I notice right away whenever I like reach PTSD peak moment when I'm
And you'll feel
triggered.
it.
Like,
You will feel it inside of
Yes.
you. You will be freaking out.
yeah,
So I also learned to just kind of keep a calm facade about myself.
you don't have to tell
Because
everybody what you're experiencing.
You really
either.
don't, especially if it's something that you're working your way through,
Mhm.
because eventually you will unlearn it and you'll get more used to, you know, this isn't bad. This isn't something that's detrimental. I was just in a past situation where feeling this way before, this is where I ended up, because it ended up badly. It ended up, I was treated in a way that I didn't deserve, you know?
Mhm. So
Self-awareness.
I think that's another thing too, is a lot of us fear what other people think.
Oh, for
Maybe
sure.
whenever we're like learning and unlearning and going through a moment, whenever we have mental health, like, I don't know, mental health things. I used to always be afraid of like being open to like my partner or being open to those around me because I didn't want to be judged for what I was going through in the moment. Really realizing that I don't have to explain myself to anybody was like a really big moment of like,
Oh, for sure.
I was free. Like, I'm like, I can sit here inside of my head. I can trust myself to figure out how to maneuver this like nervous system thing I'm going through, which for me, that's a lot of it, is my nervous system reaches fight or flight, and I have to talk down my nervous system. My brain knows better, but like my physical body is reacting. So like,
Absolutely.
I'm at a point now where like I can handle myself, and that takes a lot of self-awareness, a lot of reflecting, and a lot of getting to know myself.
Man, it is a journey, and the journey is the reason we do what we do, and that's why we're explaining it.
Because, you know, sometimes we need people to sit there and explain it.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, whenever we started being open
Yeah.
about like what we're feeling and what we're going through, Chris and I realized that like we're two people who've like have PTSD. Like, we have triggers. We go through a lot of the same stuff. Like, it's similar, but it's not all the way the same. But we're stronger together talking about it and figuring
Word.
it out
Yeah.
than we were trying to figure it out by ourselves and on our own.
So what we do, we got real about it, and we accepted it and expected it. So when you start being really honest, you know, you kick that self-awareness, what's the other one?
Mindfulness?
Mindfulness. Yes, mindfulness most specifically. You kick that mindfulness in, and you really begin to pay attention to what
It's
your
cold.
brain is telling you. You listen to your thoughts. You listen to the thought patterns that you have, and just your self-talk, you know? I would wake up every day and just tell myself I was stupid for everything I'd ever done in my life. That was my morning routine. I would wake up and just call myself stupid over and over and over again, and I didn't even realize it. It wasn't until I
Yeah.
really started getting into the bulk and like understanding and really practicing mindfulness. I'm like, man, do I do this every single day? That's why I wear the beads too. You know, you just repeat to yourself over and over, I'm not stupid. It's all good. Like, I'm cool. I never did that one. That
I
sounds
was
kinda
in a
goofy, but,
pattern
you know.
of just constant shame. Like,
Yeah,
I would shame
right.
myself for every mistake I made. If I like messed up about anything, I'd beat myself up for it for like the rest of the day. And then I realized how truly unhealthy that is.
It's toxic.
It is absolutely toxic.
Punish yourself for
Like,
being
I
alive,
would-
for existing. Like, there's something wrong with it, but there's not.
I don't know if I talked about this book in my solo video about resources, but the book Daring Greatly was a really huge one that like knocked me out of my like always shaming myself for things. How are you going to shame yourself for something you didn't know?
For real.
Like, how, like, are you going to go to school every day and be like, man, I didn't know the answer to that math problem, and like you hadn't even learned how to figure out the math problem yet?
Right?
Like, that's what I was doing to myself.
Big one there too, dude. That's another thing. we don't talk about enough, is admitting when you don't know something.
Yeah.
That's just growth, man. It's how you become more intelligent. I can't stand when I'm having conversations and someone's like, you know what, I actually do already know everything. Oh, okay. Well, that's all we need to talk about here, though.
So it shows that there's really no growth in the conversation.
For
if you
real.
know everything, then why do we need to be talking?
Ain't no point.
I've heard it from multiple of my clients too with massage. If I don't know something about their body, or if I don't know what's going on, I'll tell them I don't know. Like, I can research it, but I don't know. And in the long run, that really brings about a whole different level of trust.
It's transparency. It's it's openly beneficial.
It's like, I'm really,
learn.
I don't care if I'm right. I don't care if I'm right all the time. I don't care if I'm wrong all the time. Like, I'd rather not be wrong all the time. But like, that's why I go out and I research, and I correct myself. Like, I'm real. I try to be a very real person, and I dig that about me.
It is a good
whenever I can say something like that about myself too, because I used to not say anything good about me.
I never said anything positive
What's some
about
good
myself.
stuff about you?
I'm real. I am so real. Sometimes I can be labeled as somebody that's a a-hole. Can I say a-hole? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But realistically, for one, if you ask me my opinion, I am 100% always going to give it to you. But I'm going to be very factual and open and honest about it, because I'm also very, very good. I have an innate ability to view something from your perspective, not from my own perspective. I can tell you what I think about it, but I can also help you understand about yourself what you're having trouble understanding.
Yeah.
So that's something that I absolutely love about myself, and it's helped me in a lot of situations and a lot of conversations, and I can't believe there was ever a time that I didn't know these things, because it's such a huge part of who I am now.
I love my ability to empathize with others.
Yes.
I love the deepness, and really, if you're telling me about your pain, and I'll cry with you.
Absolutely.
It's that much sometimes. I love that I'm able to really put myself aside for a second and allow somebody else to take up my space. I don't need me all the time. I got me figured out. What can we do for you right now?
It benefits you as well, because you gain an emotional release from the situation. So
I
there's
guess
always
I do,
positive
yeah.
backing to all these things, as long as things are allowed to work in a positive manner.
Yeah.
It's all outlook to a certain
that's
point.
all about, I've said the word a million times now, but oh my gosh, I'm about to forget it. No, contempt.
Contempt, yeah.
Thinking that you are better than others, or thinking that you're more than others.
Word.
Empathizing and really being real with people is we are all the same. None of us are innately any better than others. We're all human, having experience, and yeah. I think that's all I got. I just felt my teapot go.
I think we about poured it all out. That was pretty good. That was a good ramble. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I dig it.
So with the appreciation, if anybody has any questions about mindfulness or self-awareness, or how to begin these practices, because it is a practice. You once told me creating a habit takes 28 days.
Yeah, and then he quit smoking.
Yeah.
And then I quit smoking.
Yep.
And then here we are.
That's another thing I really like about myself. I can just master things if I allow myself to. You really can't do anything you put your mind to, because I used to not, but now I do.
I've been reading something lately where it's to be good at something is the most of it is just being consecutive with it, more than actually knowing it, or more than actual brain power to really get yourself into something. It's just choosing it every day. Choosing it every day.
Word.
There's very loud people back there, and I have to look because I'm distracted.
The old downtown Cape. All right,
All
we're going to wrap it on that one. Much love to you all. Thank you so much.
I'm stealing this cardigan from you.
No, you're not. Until next time. She's not.